What's up, guys? I am here in the ATG gym where there's so many beautiful pieces of equipment here to heal your body and train. And I wanted to tell you the story of how I got here. I moved here 2 years ago, basically after I was coming off of one of the worst depressions of my entire life. I was in France, I was suicidal, depressed, and I was basically running away from all the problems I had in my life. That's why I was in France, trying to figure out solutions for things, when in reality, all of my problems were right up here. And I was starting to realize that my mind was really holding me back because my life kind of looked like this up to that point, like starting a business, doing better, plummeting, depressed, doing better, plummeting, depressed. Like everything was just up and down. And so I was in France and I came home and basically had a reset in my life. I remember 23 years old, standing in my mom's kitchen, and my mom looks at me and she's like, "You are not even here. Like, I can't connect with you. Where are you?" She's like shaking me, like, "Where are you?" And I mean, I was really that low, guys. I was as close to being dead as you possibly can imagine. And I had to decide, like, I need to do something about this or else I'm going to be like living like an animal for the rest of my life. So I started reading books, personal development books, psychology books. I started understanding my mind a little bit better. And I actually began working with a coach. This was something that was recommended to me by a previous mentor named Graham Tuttle, who I visited. And Graham, when I visited right before I went to France, he told me basically, like, "You know what, man, like, I resonate with you a lot, and I was in those same positions as you, and I think you're not grown up. Like, you haven't grown up yet. You're still a little kid, basically. You're 23, but you're still, like, relying on your parents, and, like, you need to grow up a little bit." And that was really hard for me to hear. He actually recommended I work with this coach who I didn't work with till 8 months later when I was depressed and suicidal and hit the bottom of the bottom. So start working with this guy, Jack May, who really starts helping me like confront what's between my ears. I don't want to go into too much detail about that, but you can check out Jack's Instagram. It's a Wild Man Wellness. Super fascinating, creative artist type of guy who has just worked with tons of men to help them work through their emotional traumas. And trauma is a heavy word, but really it's just like, how is your past affecting you right now? And a lot of people think that's a little bit of a area not to look at. Like, hey, the past is the past, look forward, which I love that philosophy, and I think there's a lot of truth in it. It just didn't work for me because I was doing that when I was doing this. And so I had to really realize that, okay, maybe my past is affecting me a little bit. I worked with Jack. He helped me clean things up and just really like look at what I was holding on to. And by the time I was done working with Jack, I had already moved out to Florida. I had moved out of my parents' house. I had started dating people for the first time in my life. I mean, life was like starting to actually become something I felt like I could do something about. And really, Jack just taught me that I am super powerful myself, my true self, way more powerful than I could possibly ever imagine, and that my mind is something that I have, that I can control, that I can do things with, and I can heal, that I can confront, basically. So life starts improving. I was living in my grandparents' house, like moved out of my parents' house, and then I actually read this text from Keegan Smith, who was a lifelong mentor of mine, and he says, "Hey guys, I'm in Cancun. If anybody wants to visit me." At that time, I was a solar salesman, thinking that for the next 5 years I was going to be taking over the solar sales industry because I was only working part-time for ATG, Athletic Truth Group, this company. So I was working a solar sales job at a coffee shop, all dressed up nice, and I'm like, I'm going to Cancun. I booked a flight. 23 hours later, I land in Cancun, and I'm with Keegan Smith. This incredible mentor has literally changed my life in so many ways. Made me think differently about money. I had done mentorship programs with him. And so I spent 4 days with his family and him. Totally changed my life. I mean, his kids, the way that he was living, his kids were so creative, so imaginative. They're like creating houses out of like bushes and like.
Yeah, come on.
All right.
And they're eating super well. Like they're eating like real meat and they're eating fruit and real whole foods. And I'm so used to kids eating junk food and snacks and cookies and candy. And I was like, wow, this guy, Keegan was like talking Spanish with random people. He put me through workouts. He was getting, random entrepreneurs came up to him that knew him and was like, hey, can we do a podcast with you? They did the live podcast. So I'm just like kind of observing this guy and the life that he's living, totally free with his wife and kids. And I was like, wow, this is the life. Like, this is really cool. And totally different in person. Keegan like totally changed my life. And I'm so grateful for that man in our relationship. He really has always caused me to think bigger. Because when I told him I want to be a solar salesman and I want to take over that industry, he's like, dude, what are you even talking about? Like, you are made for so much more than that. I know you, and you're so creative, and the world's going to need to hear from you. So Keegan really caused me to think differently. A few weeks later, there was an event out here at this gym, and I just said, I'm going to come out here. I remember being a few hundred feet that way. I was talking to some people. I left that conversation, and the song Boston by Augustana was playing in my earbuds, and I thought, and it's about like a guy who leaves and goes to Boston, and I think that's what it's about. But whatever, it was resonating with me, and I'm like, I'm moving to Florida. 3 days later, I was here. I flew home, packed my car up with everything I needed. I had a tent. I had everything in case things went wrong. I had $1,000 or $1,500 or something like that. I moved here. First day, I had a plan. I was going to house sit. So I had a house sitting gig. I was watching these dogs. Life was good for a week. I started dating someone that I met like when I was here on the event. It was so random. But once the house sitting gig was up, I remember waking up right down the street in a tent. And I was sleeping in a tent in a parking lot. The cops woke me up and was like, what are you doing? You can't do this. This is illegal. And they were going to write me a ticket. And I was like, hey, I know this guy, Ben Patrick. Do you know him? Like, he's a knees over toes guy. And do you guys, they knew who he was. They were laughing with me by the end of it. They didn't write me the ticket. And that day, my friend Riley Sinclair told me I can sleep on his couch. He's like, you don't need to be sleeping in tents. So I slept on the floor with Riley. A few months later, my friend Andres, who was in France with me, calls me up. He tells me he's looking for a new place to go. And I told him, come here, dude, come here. So we got an Airbnb together. We rented it Airbnb style for like 2 or 3 months. 3 months later, we moved into a big house. I reached out to a bunch of people that I knew, that I met on my journey, Ruben, Tiffany, and Zack Gallagher. I said, hey, Zack, I literally met like 3 days before. I said, hey, dude, like, we're looking to build a house in Florida with a bunch of entrepreneurs. We're going to call it the Founder House or something like that. Would you want to be would you be interested? He came out. We all had a house. We were paying $3,500 in rent, $700 each. And so within like 5 months of moving out here, I had a community. I had a house, beautiful house, like right on the water, like really close to the water, not on the beach, but the water. And life was getting better and better. But my finances were plummeting, and I was still, at that point, Jack had helped me so much that like mentally I was feeling so much better and felt like I could do stuff with my life. So I plummet financially. It's stressing me out a lot. So I just said, I'm going to get another job because I'm still working part-time for ATG, and I still don't feel like that's my path to go full-time with them because I was launching other businesses, and I'm all over the place. And I get this job at the Bel Air Country Club, which is about, 2 or 3 miles that way. I'm biking there every day. My friend Connor bought me an e-bike, super nice guy. And so I'm e-biking to work every day, no car. Still, I had to sell my car to make rent with Andres. Like the first time we got that Airbnb, it was $1,500 for rent, and I was barely making any money. So sold my car, riding a bike around, and day 2 at this country club, I meet this insanely beautiful woman. She was actually 19, and I was 24, and the way she was speaking about life, she was holistic. She cared about her health, and she was telling me, hey, I'm going to retire in like 2 or 3 years. And she was telling me about these people that she knew and who were mentoring her, and it's like, what are you talking about? Like, you're so beautiful, but like, how are you going to retire in 2 years, 3 years? What are you talking about? And she meant financial freedom. She didn't mean retiring, but she intrigued me so much. So the last day I worked there, 4 months later, I know I'm about to quit. They already knew it was my last day of my 2 weeks, or 1 week I think I only gave them, which was rude. And I asked her out. I said, hey, we need to go out. Like, we're so meant to be. You know this connection is real. And she said, I'm working on myself. It's not going to work. So I was like, dang it. 3 months later, I wrote her this long essay and said, hey, like, whatever. Shared my feelings, told her, all these things. She's like, hey, amazing message, but I'm in a relationship. And I was like, dang it. But I told her, if you're ever single, hit me up. Like, you have my number. So she texted me 3 months later. We started dating. We're now engaged 9, 10 months later. And I know that I found the woman that I'm going to marry and that I'm going to spend the rest of my life with. And that, we're so aligned in our vision for financial freedom. And our vision is to have a huge farmhouse with animals and with just to have enough money to not care about money and to impact people and to really help people and mentor people and teach people things. And, we're so aligned in how we think. And she's so faithful and so angelic is the best way I can describe Jaeda. Just such a beautiful girl. And so I guess I just wanted to make this video to describe how my life has changed. I'm so much happier these days. My last video was about no entertainment. And honestly, I've pretty much been so consistent with that. We've watched a few movies, Jaeda and I, in the past year or so. But other than that, which I've kind of changed my philosophy on, I'm definitely way more disciplined with it now. I know my goals right now. And I know there's a lot of people out there that need my help. So I pretty much cut out everything in my life. And I've been doing this for the last 3-4 years on and off. But right now I don't watch any like social media. I don't know what's going on in the world. I don't watch movies or like TV shows unless it like relates with my goals, something I'm learning about. I don't have cheat meals. I eat the same thing like every single day. And I don't engage in like drama or things that are entertaining myself. Everything, I don't do TV, like everything is like just locked in on what I'm creating. And we're creating this financially free life. We are going to have ultimate health, freedom, abundance, and we're going to have the best dang relationships with everybody around us that we possibly can. We're moving back home to my family in Illinois to spend time with them, to grow those relationships, because something I've learned running away from my family is that family is so important. And I want to spend time with my family because I love them to death. And I miss them so much being out here growing up. This was so essential for me to move out here, and I'm going to come back because I think I have so much more growing up to do. I'm never going to reach that point where, I can't keep growing. I know that we're here to grow and get better, but I know that family is very important, and my dream lifestyle is being able to do both, having our independence, our freedom, but also being able to be around, my babies, having their grandparents around, and just being around the family and the people that love me and were there for me my whole life. So I hope this video resonates with somebody. I'm not going to be making videos every single week like I said last week. I change my mind all the time, and I realize that I have this opportunity to build a business with my fiance, and so I'm funneling every ounce of energy I can into that. But I might make sporadic videos like this just to update you on my life, and also for myself so that I can look back and remember who I was. And I'll probably look back at myself right now like, oh, this guy he thought he knew what he was talking about, but he was actually so clueless. And I think that's really beautiful to realize that we're always going to keep growing. So I love you guys, and I hope this hits. If not, sorry you wasted your time.